Remember how when we used to be children playing games like Pokemon Fire Red and we got our first feel of certain Pokemon like Lapras, who was essentially on every person's team serving as a way to eliminate trainers like Blaine, Lance, and even the champion himself, and that's thanks to its Ice type. But as the generations kept on coming, the Ice type has continuously solidified itself as one of the worst defensive typings in game, considering how they have a valuable advantage against 5 different types but suffer a weakness against 4 of them and only having one resistance being between themselves. And since it's the jolly and festive season right now, what better type could I think of doing a Pokemon Brick Bronze hardcore Nuzlocke with than the Ice type, which is what we'll be covering in today's video to see how far they fare in this game. And I can already tell you, I absolutely despised making this. So without further ado, I head to the Pokemon lab to get my starter, where I pretty much select Bulbasaur because this means that Jake's Eevee evolves into a Flareon, making the challenge even harder. And now we're already at a massive roadblock because the earliest point we can even get an Ice type at all is in Laguna Lake. And that's just way far from where we are, so as per usual, I needed to get a Pokemon spawned in for me. But the worst part about this all is that amongst the majority of Ice types available in game, there is only one Pokemon that is not outright overkill, possesses a neutrality to fire, which is going to be our biggest roadblock in this run, and has a 3-stage evolution, and that is none other than Spheal. I could not choose Lapras nor even Frigibax since the former is pretty much overkill for the early game and the latter is too frail and barely even gets any good moves up until level 32. So Spheal was our safest bet here, and I can just dash towards Gale Forest where I chase after Linda. Already, Spheal is off to a great start against her because she can take down Poochyena without any problems at all, but Pancham is worrisome because of its access to Arm Thrust. And even though it starts off exchanging attacks with Tackle on Powder Snow, I actually end up getting the freeze with the move, which does make me happy, but on the next turn, it thaws instantly and I get hit with the Arm Thrust, but luckily only twice. To which Water Gun here does not kill and I am dead to another Arm Thrust here. So as I click on Powder Snow, Arm Thrust hits me, and thankfully only 2 times, allowing me to survive on just 5 HP and defeat Linda, so I can cross the bridge and reach Route 3 and thereafter into Sylvan City. I go inside the elderly couple's house here to pick up an Eevee, but then another problem that occurs here is that Eevee can only evolve to Glaceon way too far in the late game with an Ice Stone that's found in Route 15. And because this challenge really has the downside of having so much limited encounters, I end up asking the developers to swap my Eevee into a Glaceon here for the sake of the run, because we need as much teammates as we can get. And I know this might seem like cheating, but this is the brutal truth of doing an Ice type only Nuzlocke. So with that dilemma dealt with, I challenged Chad's electric types, where Glaceon just pretty much makes light work out of his team, considering it has amazing special defense, and Icy Wind just 2-hit KOs both his Shinx and Pikachu to earn us the Arc Badge. As I head to Route 4, I chop down the tree to make it to Route 5, and I just waste no time into heading towards Brimber City since there is nothing around here, and I end up having to fight Jake, who yet again falls quite easily with Glaceon, and I can enter the city where I meet with the gym leader and head towards Route 6 where I have to put a stop to Team Eclipse's plan inside of Mount Igneous, and I successfully do so since Glaceon, knowing Bite and Icy Wind here, easily gets rid of the admin's team, and after calming down Groudon, I can access the second gym where even though the trainers prove to be easy enough to deal with, the gym leader is whom I'm worried about, especially since Spheal does not have thick fat here. So what I do instead is head towards the Battle Coliseum where I teach Spheal the move Surf really early since our water move right now won't be enough to kill any of his team as fast as possible. And just for safety measures, I also teach a double team in the case I want to reduce the accuracy of overheats landing on me. And then I can challenge Sebastian despite the fact I had sort of low hopes for this battle anyways. His lead Litleo goes for an annoying noble roll, lowering my special attack, which means that Surf does not kill, but on the next turn, its takedown misses and I'm given a free turn to use double team here, increasing my evasion. Ideally enough as well, the health sauce bug coffee I give to it also increases my speed, and just before I can take down Litleo, I get nailed with another Noble Roar, lowering my special attack even further as I greedily click Aurora Beam thinking that I kill, which I literally do not any longer, though thankfully the turn after that, it misses the Noble Roar and I can finally take it down. His next Growlithe here goes for a super soft reversal here as I go for a Surf, dealing well over half of its health, and I actually get another speed buff with the Saucebug Coffee, so that means I outspeed the next turn and can knock out the Growlithe. Finally was this Magmar, and an overheat from this thing will spell disaster for our run, so I end up clicking Surf as I am hit by a Feint attack, and on the next turn, Magmar goes for overheat, which thankfully misses, and I can click on another Surf here, putting it in the yellow. So now it all comes down to the hopes that Magmar does not go for overheat here, and it actually goes for the Feint attack, ensuring my survival, and I can defeat the Magmar to earn a hard-fought and very lucky Brimstone badge. With one of our biggest obstacles cleared and our run is still alive, I navigate through Route 7 to fix the dam where Spheal also evolves into a Celio, and then I can access Laguna Lake, where I head to the diving laboratory since down this place we have 3 potential ice types we can add into our team, so whichever we find first is the one we will get. And I end up finding the Seal fossil here, which allows me to revive it into an Amora, and at this point in the game I realize I have not named my team at all, so I start by renaming Amora into Sub-Zero, Celio into Glacius, and Glaceon into Jake Frost. And then I head to Route 8 where I meet with Jake and end up engaging in some 2v2 battles with him up until I reach Rose Cove City, where I do head to the lighthouse to stop Team Eclipse again, but I am put at a very grave situation here because my Celio overleveled and Glaceon is also forced to be sent out here against the admin Solrock since my Amora is left on 1 HP. Meaning that right after I'm finished dealing with the team, I face the brutal reality here where I am walking inside the 3rd gym with just a rock and ice type that is insanely weak to water, so what I have to do here is head to the Battle Coliseum again in order to teach Amora the move Thunderbolt and try to see how well it does against the gym trainers. And it kind of does a decent job since some of the weaker water types here do fall to a Thunderbolt easily, while something quite weak to it like this Mantine here does not die to it at all. Therefore, I knew I did not have enough power to defeat the gym leader with ease, but this is where I end up deciding to go for a desperate strategy here, even though I am 99% confident I'll wipe in this attempt here. I teach Amora Charge Beam so that in the case I'm able to paralyze his lead Pokemon, I can start getting some special attack boosts while also trying to fish for a speed buff with the Saucebug Coffee. So I challenge Quitten's water types, and right off the bat, Wailmer goes for a rollout, which is pretty unideal if it keeps on attacking and landing the move with it. But I managed to use the Thunder Wave, paralyzing it. And on the next turn I can go for the Charge Beam, dealing damage and getting the special attack buff as rollout hits me again, leaving me at just 44 HP, and then I can click another Charge Beam here to not only get the kill on Wailmer, but also get another special attack buff. Although unfortunately I miss out on any speed buffs here, and as Gorbis is out on the field, I just pointlessly click Thunder Wave here, which I discover I outspeed and waste a turn as Gorbis goes for Draining Kiss, which I barely survive, and seeing as how I'm guaranteed to outspeed now, I click on Thunderbolt and I end up getting the kill on the Gorbis. But what point is there when the upcoming Huntail will just come out and... Okay, well, unbelievably Amora actually outspeeds the Huntail as well, killing it with a Thunderbolt, and it actually managed to net us a float badge despite all odds. Man, I just know this luck is going to bite me back so hard later on, but I'll 100% take it. As I meet with Tess and Jake in Route 9, our newly evolved Auroras can pretty much get past them with ease, and I head towards the manor where I can find another potential ice type in the future, and that is the Rotom that lingers around this mansion. So after I pretty much go back and forth between the floors in search for the items, I finally interact with it and catch it, naming it Elsa. And I can move to Route 10, climb the mounds of Macragnos where I evolve Celio into Walrein, and then reach the peaks where I ride the balloon towards Athene City. Once I speak to Gerald, I head towards the park where I can enter the power plant here, and I can click on the refrigerator that allows me to transform my Rotom into Rotom Frost. And then I just spend some time training the team here in the gym against these flying type trainers, and once I'm satisfied with their levels, I challenge Steven's flying types. He leads with Staraptor as I use Rotom here, and I can take down the Staraptor with a Blizzard. Then once his Skarmory is out, I use Substitute here so that I can position myself properly up against his incoming Aerodactyl, and also set up with Charge Beam that allows me to get to +2 special attack and knock out the Skarmory. The Aerodactyl I mentioned is out, and it bizarrely goes for Thunder Fang, which funnily enough misses, so a single Shockwave seals the deal. His second Staraptor is so slow, so Shockwave kills it, and lastly was his Braviary, which also gets zapped out of the sky with a Shockwave, earning me a pretty easy soaring badge. Once I meet with Tess at the sewers, having to spam surf on everything inside, it's sadly not a happy ending because what happens here is that when I try to use Glaceon, it keeps on missing blizzards here, and unfortunately, it spells the end for our Glaceon as I get destroyed by this guy's fighting types. I knew this was going to happen inevitably, since I did get super lucky with the third gym, and now I have to pay the price. So after going outside to rescue Jake, I'm further challenged by Cypress in probably a very situational battle here. So after I switch out from Absol into Rotom, Venusaur charges up for a Solar Beam, and strangely enough, Blizzard actually doesn't get the one shot on Venusaur, so I end up getting hit hard with a Solar Beam. Though the following Hex defeats the Venusaur, his incoming Feraligatr however opts to go for an Ice Punch, allowing me to nail it with 2 Shockwaves. Then once Blaziken is out, I make the switch into Walrein as I initially get hit by a soft Night Slash, but on the next turn, it turns into a Thunder Punch, dealing very hard damage on me before it falls to a Surf. The incoming Torterra is slow and I'm quite effective against it, so a single Aurora Beam defeats it, and as Samurott appears on the field, I make a switch into Auroras here on an incoming Ice Beam that does virtually nothing, and I punish it back with a Freeze Dry that misses out on the kill, so it ends up using Dig here, and I take this opportunity to switch into Rotom, who has Levitate, rendering the move useless, and then take it down with an incoming Shockwave. So last was his Delphox, which I switch out into Auroras yet again, but I get hit with a Psychic that also lowers my special defense, and on the next turn, I try to render Delphox crippled with Thunder Wave, but before that works, I get hit with another Psychic that gets the special defense drop again, and even though I do use Ancient Power here hoping that I can take out the Delphox as it gets paralyzed, it unfortunately breaks through the paralysis, and Psychic puts an end to our Ice Dinosaur. At least what can happen now is Delphox dies to Walrein, who uses Surf here, but it sucks that I lost 2 of my teammates in the span of 15 minutes, forcing me to go with 2 Pokemon only for now. So once I'm back to the peaks, I can take the Skytrain down to Route 11 and make my way towards Iridia City, where I need to find the gym leader in Old Iridia who is battling Team Eclipse in the ruins. And I assist him with the battle since Rotom is powerful enough to deal with most of them, and then once I gain access to the 5th gym, I pretty much play the EXP management game here to avoid any overleveling, and can safely pick up the tools off of the gym trainers there to dig down and find the gym leader, challenging his ground types. I didn't really have anything much to worry about because what I do here is set up the hail so that I can heal back my health with Ice Body and also deal chip damage to the opposing Pokemon. So Quagsire here is hit with a Blizzard as it wastes a turn going for Ice Beam on me, and I can knock it out the next turn with a Surf. Then once Steelix is out, I can click on another Surf here and get hit with a soft Thunder Fang before Steelix dies thanks to the hail damage as I recover back some HP with Ice Body. Claydol here hits me with a soft Psychic and I can retaliate back with a Blizzard that does get the freeze, but Claydol just thaws the next turn and hits me with a Bulldoze before it dies to hail damage, which I manually set up again, and the incoming Excadrill here pretty much does not threaten me at all, so a single Surf is enough for the kill. Lastly was this Mega Garchomp, where I do have to make the switch here into Rotom Frost, and as I get hit with an Iron Head that horrifyingly gets a critical hit, Rotom is faster than Mega Garchomp, so I can take it down with one Blizzard to defeat Lion and earn myself the Creator Badge. With the Creator Badge obtained, this now allows me to use the HM for Rock Smash, and what this means is that I can fly back towards the Glistening Grotto near Brimber City, where I can use the fishing rod here in order to find our next teammate, a Shelter that actually not only has an amazing nature, but also the ability Skill Link, which can let us use multi-hit moves to the maximum output. So once I spend some time leveling it up to 56, in which I can get Shelter to learn Cell Smash, I can now use the Water Stone to evolve our Shelter into Cloyster, and then head back to Route 12 where I can continue the journey, navigating through the trainers there until I'm at Route 13, and eventually after into Floroma City. Considering the fact I pretty much have zero things to worry about since I'm using Ice types, I just go ahead and do the puzzle real quick, dealing with the trainers there as well, and then challenge Fizzy's Grass types. This was nothing short of an easy battle because Leavanny will always go for Sticky Web first turn, so this gives me plenty of room to use Shell Smash once here and knock out the Leavanny with an Icicle Spear. Then once Tropius is out, and knowing it has physical moves only, which can barely escape me alongside the fact Solar Beam is its only grass move, I take this opportunity to use Shell Smash again, getting to +4, and the reason why was because even though I can easily take out everything Fizzy has even at +2, I was worried that his final Pokemon, being Mega Venusaur, which has thick fat, may end up surviving and blast me with a pretty nasty Sludge Bomb, so I did not want to take that risk. And Icicle Spear here just destroys his Venusaur to win us the Harvest Badge. With Tess giving us the HM for Rock Climb, I can progress through Route 14, although I actually make a discovery way too late in the game by flying towards Route 10 here. There is this grandma dressed as Senna who actually has a quest for us in which we need to use Cut here to chop down all the trees in this area, and by doing so, she can reward us with another Ice type that we can use here in the form of Snover that is also holding the Abomasite Megastone, and we name it Todoroki, which I'm a whole lot disappointed I did not even know about until way late in the game. But in any case, I move up until the entrance of what I like to call Heaven, because this would have made our run much more bearable at all, challenge the team Eclipse Grunts here, including Jake who joined the dark side, and hand him a reality check that he'll always be beneath me. I can finally enter Route 15 that is infested in Ice types, although our encounter here ends up being a pretty good one, being a Swinub that I catch and name Kitara. So all that's left for me to do is to evolve Swinub into Pyroswine here, and then head towards the Battle Coliseum to teach it Ancient Power and further evolve it into a Mamoswine. And the same is applied to Snover, who can also evolve into an Abomasnow. Hey guys, just a quick note because I know some of you might be questioning, how did my Snover evolve into an Abomasnow when it shouldn't evolve since it's an event Pokemon? Well, the reason why was because I like to believe that the developers forgot to code in the fact that this Snover should evolve, and honestly, it felt wrong to go through the ice run with just a Snover rather than an Abomasnow, unless I did a first stage only run, which is an exceptional case, and because of how torturous this run has been already, I figured that it was only fair that I just catch another Snover instead that can evolve. And either way, because of Species and Dupes clause, it also means I can still retain the Swinub anyways, since I already owned the Snover beforehand, so I'm able to keep both Abomasnow and Mamoswine on the team. So once I train up the team high enough that they become close to the level cap of 74, I can make it to Frostvale City and head towards the 7th gym where I challenge Zeke's Dark types. The plan does need careful plays here, so what I do is lead with Cloyster against his Grunge Crow, and I can easily take it down with a single Icicle Spear. And with Crocodile coming out to use Intimidate here, I don't have to worry too much about it since thanks to my high defenses, I'll survive anything, and I can set up a Shell Smash here so that on the next turn, I can knock it out with an Icicle Spear. His next Bishop does survive a Razor Shell, but it ends up using Poison Jab, which thankfully does not poison us, so another one finishes the job. The next Umbreon actually surprises me with how bulky it is, and because I end up getting confused with Confuse Ray, I did not want to take the risk of hitting myself in confusion, so I end up switching to Mamoswine and repeatedly keep on spamming Earthquakes until Umbreon is forced to stop using Moonlight and it goes for Toxic, putting me on a timer, and then in the next turn I can finish it off. Next was a second crocodile which lowers my attack, and knowing I won't be able to kill it, I make the switch into Rotom Frost here as I get hit with a Fire Fang, but on the next turn, I outspeed and can take it down with one Blizzard. Lastly was his Mega Houndoom, and I switch into Walrein here as I get hit by a soft Shadow Ball, and then afterwards with a Sludge Bomb, before I retaliate with a Surf that misses out on the kill, but thankfully, Houndoom doesn't go for Dark Pulse or Inferno here, so I'm safe to bulk another Shadow Ball, and I can defeat the Houndoom to earn myself the Contrast Badge. Before heading towards the next area, I'm stopped by Tez who outright gets shredded by my ice types since half of them are quite weak to it, and then I slide down towards Route 16, though at the half point I can enter this path here so that once we find the cave with a couple ice types inside them, my encounter ends up being a Jinx, although thinking I actually will kill with Ice Shard here, it ends up being the opposite case and I just completely fail to capture it. So I just walk away from the cave in complete shame. Although once I enter Cosmos Valley and eventually enter inside Port Deca, and after receiving the Surf HM from Brad, I make the decision to do one more quest in order to receive an Ice type and complete our team of 6. By looking around either Brimber City, Route 10 or Rose Cove, there is a chance that Santa Claus will appear at night time, in which we can battle him, and after defeating his full team of Stantlers including his Rudolph, we can go back to Athenian City and talk to this NPC here who gives us one of the 2 Pokemon of our choice, a Galarian Slowpoke or Mr. Mime. So I go ahead and pick up the Mr. Mime here, and then spend some time leveling it up around this black belt, managing to evolve it into a Mr. Rhyme. And with the team now at an equal footing in terms of levels, I surf my way through Route 17 until I'm at Crescent Town, where I locate the Team Eclipse hideout, begin my infiltration, and then release my parents from the prison cell before being made to chase after them and getting stopped by Jake, who just gets the same treatment as every battle we had, forcing me to travel to Route 18, go down the outpost, and delve deeper into the Demon's Tomb. With Cypress destroying the seal, we are made to battle against him, although this one battle was very dependent on specific plays being made, so against this Greninja, I can easily knock it down with a Giga Drain from Abomasnow, though it annoyingly laid down the Toxic Spikes beforehand, and even when I Mega Evolve here, Decidueye still outspeeds me, so I get hit with a Spirit Shackle before knocking it out with a Blizzard. The upcoming Incineroar hair forces me to switch into Walrein, and I end up getting hit by a very disgusting cross chop here, and heartbreaking as it sounds, even though I do manage to hit it with a Surf which misses on the kill, a Flare Blitz here marks the end of our Walrus who has been with us since the beginning of the run, and Incineroar dies to recoil damage. Thank you for being there for me through all the pain, Walrein. The fall of our Pokemon here means that I can send in Mamoswine against his incoming Empoleon, which can die to a single Earthquake, and the next Sceptile goes for an Earthquake as well, which doesn't do much against me, and I can finish it off with an Ice Fang. Lastly was his Mega Charizard X, and fearing a Flare Blitz here, I switch into our best physical defense in Cloyster, but I still end up getting pretty hard with a Dragon Claw, and the worst part is that it goes for a Flare Blitz, putting me at just 16 HP, which means that after I finish hitting the Charizard with an Icicle Spear, we lose our Cloyster to poison damage thanks to the Toxic Spikes laid down, marking our 4th den of the run. I have to give a massive credit to Cloyster here because it certainly carried us in the late game, and we will carry on its memory as I send out Mr. Rhyme here, who gets hit by a Dragon Claw against all odds and knock out the Charizard with a Psychic. So with the battle now over, Cypress gets tossed into the Shadow Realm, Jake makes his heroic sacrifice, and the fate of the world is left to me as I battle Hoopa, of which I just chuck a Master Ball at it because, well, I can't risk getting hit by anything here. So with the world now safe, all I have left is to take care of one final business, and that is the fight against Captain B's Ghost types. Up against her Gengar, I lead with a Abomasnow here since I don't want to risk any Destiny Bonds for any of my Ice types, and I can hit it with a Bulldoze as it does fish for a kill with Destiny Bond, and with the speed being lowered, it is still slow enough so Gengar hits me with a Hex before falling down shortly. Decidueye here is nothing I'm worried about, so a single Blizzard defeats it, and Spiritomb just ends up knocking itself out as it uses Memento on me. With Mismagius out, I pretty much begin by switching out into Mamoswine here, trying to defeat it with an Ice Fang, and positioning myself right against his incoming Aegislash, but seeing as how it goes for Growl, lowering my attack and the move not even dealing health, I make another switch into Rotom Frost here, getting hit by an Astonish and Psywave, but a discharge causes the Mismagius to get paralyzed and I can defeat it with a Hex. Next was H-Slash and I end up using Will-O-Wisp here, burning and cutting its attack in half, and I just get hit by a pathetic aerial ace here, so it allows me to knock it out with a Hex. Finally was her Mega Sableye, and what she ends up doing is using Mean Look as I go for discharges, and she even uses the same move again, so this is where I made the realization that I just beat one of the hardest Nuzlocke this game has to offer and complete a Pokémon Brick Bronze Hardcore Nuzlocke using only Ice types. Now let me just say this, I absolutely hate using this type with every fiber of my being. I mean sure, it has some cool designs and options and all, but god, using them was a complete chore and such a heart-stopping thing to do in the first place, and I am so glad that this was over with. But anyways, if you guys reached this far into the video, why not drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.